Hello and welcome to All in Motion. This is Scar City, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to episode number 46, What It Takes as a Manager to Make Tough Decisions, with our guest, back for a fourth time, Brennan Inch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of All Motion. I'm your host, Jake. I have another exclusive one here. We have someone, this is fourth time on All Motion, so if you have not checked out All Motion, please be sure to go back and check these episodes out. We have Brennan Inch, and before we get into it, Brennan Inch, how we doing, sir?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Good. We could do a quick introduction. Everybody knows Scar City, but those who don't, we have you on. I just want to go over your episodes real quick. We have, all the way back. I appreciate you and your time. All the way back from the beginning. Episode number 8, part 1, being disciplined. Part 2, number 8, being disciplined. You, and then we jump forward all the way to. I just want to make sure I'm, keeping track of everything you brought to All Motion. Number 24, putting in the daily grind. All great episodes, short and to the point. Before we dive into it with you, sir, just want to obviously for those out there, just want to your audience and everybody else, Scar City partner and host All Motion. How we doing, sir?
Oh, doing fantastic. Excited about this interview.
Appreciate you. You want to give just a brief little introduction about who you are real quick? The audience is out
Yeah,
there.
so
Cool.
to piggyback or veggie back off what you just said, I'm a host, co-host, partner here, All in Motion, and my background is information technology and music business consultation. So look forward to this interview, and let's get into it.
Brennan, before we kick it off, 4th installment with you, sir. I'm going to give a little brief background, who you are, what you do, and what you got going on.
Yeah. So Brennan Inch, I an account manager for my family's landscaping company, Inch & Co. Landscaping. Jake and I met. Our connection started at Bloomsburg University way back in the day. In accounting, I've been just grinding over here, as we had in that, in my episode. We're just I'm just selling jobs. That's what I do. Account manager at our family's landscaping company. Looking forward to this interview.
Appreciate it. And you have a beautiful family, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter and awesome. My beautiful wife.
Awesome.
And I don't know. I guess I have to realize that I've been on a few episodes now, and something that's changed recently.
You're a veteran.
Yeah.
You had to, you and your cousins in the business had to lay off some workers. So we just want to dive into it and see what that's been like, and have you expand on that?
Yeah. Thanks for asking about that. It's been a different year. So ever since the inception of our business, every year we've had snow, we've had rain, and the winters are full of doing snow removal nonstop. The spring and summer is mowing, weed whacking, mulching and trimming, maintenance services, landscaping install services. And we've been fortunate throughout the years, it's been about 25 years now, to really never do anything except bring more people into the business and give more jobs. The economy has affected it, I believe, but the weather has become a huge issue in not receiving any snow really at all in the Northeast last winter. And then this year in the spring here, May and June are our heaviest mowing months, where we're really pumping hard, and there's no rain. We've had I'm sure everybody's aware of the situation. You look outside and normal people just see brown, but for us, that's dollar signs falling through the cracks, and we can't mow. And that's a big part of our business. And not being able to do any snow last winter and this spring being very, very dry, customers are pushing their jobs off because they don't want to plant plants that are going to die. We can't mow grass that isn't growing. So, we did have to tell a couple people that we don't have the work for them right now, which has been tough. And something that is a big part of our business and our culture is the people. We care very deeply about the people. So it was difficult. It's hard to look somebody in the eye and say, hey, you're going to have to look for something else. We can't make it happen right now for whatever reason. But I can lead into it later. I just kind of tell them, this is something out of our control, and we're trying to control everything that we can control. But at the end of the day, the result is the result, and we did have to lay some people off.
And I wanted to just dive into it. And you shared about it in the last episode. It was the H2A and H2B program. I tied the link.gov website to it, the process. Because some of those employees, and be clear, it's pretty remarkable and amazing what you do. Even though I'd say your business is not small anymore. I say definitely middle. Because you have, when I was there Labor Day, I never knew that, you
penetrated multiple industries due to the fact that it was myself, my cousins, and their dad, alpha males, basically in one confined space, that confined space being the landscaping business. And we're all very high performers. We move quick, make quick decisions, and a lot of big heads in a room. You start to run into each other, and there's not really any issues. It's just that we needed to branch out. We just realized over time that it's going to make more sense to not stay in one lane and branch out into other lanes, diversify. So that's where we took it. Yes. So we're in real estate, property management. We are also in landscaping. Me and him would both jump out and she'd pop the trunk, and we'd both have to get the mower out because we were so little that we were probably 10, 8, 9, 10. Back in that day, kids worked hard, and that's how we got started.
That's awesome. I think Scar City, you came off. I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask a question. In terms of like landscaping, how do you see the market? Like, is it the same market as interior design, or do you kind of see that as non-competing industry for you guys?
Yeah, I would see that as a non-competing industry. It's pretty separate.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you educated me here on landscaping, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob.
No, it's interesting you asked that question, Scar City, because it's funny. We were just talking the other day about his kitchen. I think your wife does interior design, right?
Yeah. So she buys. She's a vintage. So she kind of buys wholesale vintage decor, I guess is the best word for it, and resells it. But her real skill is setting up a space so that it feels right. And in my man brain, that's the best way I can describe it. She has a lot of people that come to her and they say, "Hey, we have this couch. I'm just going to sell it to you because you'll be able to sell it for way more than we can because of the way you're going to stage it." So it's interesting that Scar City asked about interior design because she does do that, but the main part of her business is resale.
No, I was just gonna say that's very interesting aspect. And it seems like it's everything that's outdoors, right? But upon my research, there's some landscaping that involves and it's not interior design, but some type of internal construction. Would that be accurate? An accurate statement?
I have seen, we haven't branched into it, but there's definitely what they call, I believe they're called greenscapes that are
Right.
used,
Right.
in the more urban environments where they'll do rooftops, they'll do wall hangers. That's really seems to be a big hit in the areas where you can't have you don't have a big backyard, you don't have a garden. That's definitely, I think that would be a huge deal here if we just didn't have such large open spaces.
That's really interesting because Scar City grew up in New York City, so that's really interesting. You just guys talking about this.
Yeah, so that's probably why he's asking me that. And that's the beautiful part about the show is that I never would have expected him to ask me. Like, that one kind of caught me because I was like, I never in my world that's never even popped into my head. But like I said, that's the beauty of the show is that you got all kinds of people from all over different geographical regions looking at the similar topic and cultivating different ideas. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, growing up in New York City, everything is, high risers, really high risers, 34 floors, 50 floors, 60 floors. And we typically do everything inside. Even when you're dealing with like condominiums, like huge condominiums and mansions, it's always on the inside until you get to like the countryside. So yeah, no, I appreciate that. Appreciate that answer.
Completely born and raised in New York City.
Well, I've traveled a lot, but that's where my upbringing was for the most part. But I've traveled. I've lived in a lot of states, probably 30 states, and I've
Okay.
lived a little bit out of country. I've lived in like, Canada, so a few other places. So, but for the most part, my childhood upbringing was in New York City. Yes.
Wow, that's so cool living in that many different places. It's hard for me to imagine that. I've been, other than being at Bloomsburg where I met Jake, I've been in York, Pennsylvania my whole entire life. It's probably crazy for you to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm fine. I'm one of those type of people that I'm fine in the big city, and I'm also fine in the rural or country areas. Like when I was in Canada, we were in Ontario, but it was a small town and Grimsby, and it was very tiny and it was very, very rural. I mean, the closest gas station was probably like, I don't know, 3, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, something like that. I'm
Yeah,
from New York City. We have gas stations on every 2 blocks or every 3 blocks. So it was a
right.
big change for me living out there. But yeah, I'm fine in any environment. It's all about having peace within your own heart and mind. So
Yes, very true.
To get in this program, H2A and H2B, and to apply, it's crazy hard. You have to actually put ads out to the let's just say the well, the U.S. as a whole, as a country, but in that particular region or city or county that you live in, before you can apply for this program, to see if the actual workers or people will actually apply before you can actually be accepted into this program to hire individuals that live outside the United States.
Yeah. The H2B program is is a big part of our business. And you're pretty close. You almost have it nailed down, but you don't have to do the ads to be accepted into the program. The way it works is you you basically sign up, and then you need to prove that you need a certain amount of workers. So you have to basically show them.
And then, not to interrupt you, this is for you have to show the Department of Labor, correct?
Yes, you have to prove to the Department of Labor that you have contracts and work enough to keep busy the amount of workers that you're requesting. So if I request 50 workers and I have 3 maintenance contracts, they're going to say no. If I request 10 workers and I have, you know, 50 maintenance contracts, then that's the first step. And I even have a more loose understanding than my cousin Johnny would. But um, you apply for the program, you prove how much work you have, then before you will receive, before you're granted any visas at all, you have to prove that you've advertised for work, two, that if anyone applied, so you have to send photocopies of the newspaper ads that you put in the paper. Then you have to so for anyone that has responded to you have to prove that you have the work, that advertised all these positions, and that you have to prove that you interviewed the people, and you have to give a valid reason as to why you didn't hire them. And uh, I'm talking about people that live here, American workers. And we've put out. I think this is the point at which everybody kind of gasps, because we put ads out in the paper for the last month for $24 an hour. It might have even been higher this year. I didn't see the ad, but for $24 an hour,
That's
50-hour weeks.
pause for a second. Not to interrupt, but you're saying that is this is just a position, someone just doing landscaping in general, or like a mower, or
Uh, so we usually post for a landscape labor position.
that's good money, $24 an hour. I
That's
mean,
so what we do is we offer a foreman rate just to get anyone to respond. And I'm getting to the point of this whole thing is that no one ever calls. No one ever calls. We don't. 3 years ago, I think we interviewed one person, and that's the state of our labor force. That's a good example of the state of our labor force. So that's why we use the program. I get a lot of people that ask, why would you, why do you want to use people from out of the country when there's all these people in the United States that need work? You are correct. They do need work, but they don't want work. They want a paycheck. So that's why we use the program, because these guys come up here, they're hungry and they have grit, and they will work all day long. And um, they always, they show up with a smile on their face, ready to get done whatever you need to do. And it's been a blessing being able to work beside them for the last 15 years. But that's the program in a nutshell. I guess I could add to that. When once their contract is up, so they come up on an 8-month contract, which is essentially the grass growing season, if you will.
Not to interrupt, Brennan, real quick, to make clear to the audience, these individuals and these employees that work for your company, they're primarily from Mexico and other countries in Central America, correct?
Yes, for the industry that we are in, yes, but there's a lot of workers that come for the H-2A program, which is agriculture, and there's a lot of H-2B workers that come for other industries. So the hotel industry is another one that's very, very big, and we've actually gone to Washington, D.C. and lobbied for the program, because some years the government only releases, there's always only a set number of visas released to be used by applicants to the program. And one of the hiccups with the program is they won't release enough visas some years, and it's essentially a lottery program. So I've gone into years where I know that I need 22 men, boots on the ground, and 2 weeks before the mowing season, I have no employees, and the Department of Labor says, "Sorry, you're not gonna receive your visas until October." That's happened to me before, and I've had to find 22. I've had to basically put um, I'd say bad news bears crew together, but I mean, you're scrambling if you have 2 weeks left and you need that many guys, and to have to train them and get things figured out. So that's the biggest hiccup with the program, is that the government doesn't recognize what I'm saying to you guys right now, that there are no people that want to work physically. I hate saying no people, but individuals that I can legally employ are hard to come by. So that's
Is
why
that because
we,
they prefer to work remote, or what do you think is the reason behind that?
I think the reason behind that is um, the line of work that we're in is physical. So you're sweating, you're doing, it's hard, it's labor, it's a labor job. You're wheelbarrowing mulch, you're shoveling mulch, stone, you're mowing, you're weed whacking, and I just feel that I think a lot of kids grow up being told that they're better than that, or that they can do better than that, and it's it seems to be coming around now. And I mean, to be straight, I think people are lazy today, and I think people keep getting lazier and lazier as um, the country grows older and more used to all of the um, amenities that we have here. You know, you can
Right.
go work at Sheets now for $20 an hour. Why would you do a hard job?
Right. The whole concept of work smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get what you're saying. Right. Jacob, did you want to jump back in?
Oh no, Scarcy, you good? You got it. You got it. Go ahead, man.
Yep. Now, wanted to jump into another question here. So, in terms of you know, I want to understand what's some of the things that you've kind of learned. I know you and Jacob, you guys went to college together. What's some of the things that you learned in the business, and how to manage the business, being that you have this friction, and you have folks wanting to do computer jobs and desk jobs and not being hands-on. What are some of the things that you've learned, and how you've learned to manage that?
Yeah, I love that question. That was actually one that caught my eye when I was going over the questions. So at Bloomsburg, we learned the numbers, we learned metrics and all that good stuff. Everything that allows you to be a good manager. But what we didn't learn was how difficult it can be dealing with and managing anywhere from, I would say, managing anywhere from 10 people on up. You're dealing with 10 different personalities. Uh, and we kind of completely greased over that in college. And that's something that has been, especially in the first 3 years of my management career, was very difficult for me to realize that people are not computers, people are not robots. And coming up in I was, I think, I believe I was blessed to come up in this business and have the tenacity to get through everything that we've been through to get here. I mean, it's very difficult, but that turns you into, iron sharpens iron, or there's all kinds of sayings about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and so on and so forth. But going through everything that we've been through hardened me to a point where I kind of forgot that people weren't, you know, every person doesn't show up at six. If we were to start work at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, not every person is going to show up at exactly 6:50 on the dot, work a 10, 12-hour day all day long, every single day of the week, 6 days a week, and never get hurt, never complain, never have an issue, never have a problem. But when we all worked together as a family, that's how we operated. No one ever got, if somebody got hurt, you just sucked it up and kept going. There's no workers' comp, there's no any of that stuff. You just have to keep going. And it was a huge learning curve for me to learn the people aspect of it and how to manage multiple different personalities all at the same time. That's the biggest thing I learned.
Right. So teamwork is basically without that, you guys are in the water,
Oh
so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah. There's a whole lot of moving parts for sure. And making, if you have 22 guys working together, split up into 4 or 5 man crews, you also have to manage them working amongst each other, and that can be hard too. So you're managing the individual and the groups, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Yeah, that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is I know in the corporate world, I've been a director and also a vice president at banks and other corporations such as law firms and things like that. But in your field, what does the structure look like from an org chart perspective, right? Let's say you have 20 guys. Are you going to have the one person managing those 20 people, or would you have like a team lead or a manager or like a captain? How does that structure like generally look?
So the way I'll just do only the landscaping division because it will get pretty muddy after that. But the landscaping division is pretty, I would say, conventional, and we have a general manager who is my boss and the production manager's boss. Um, I would be so I'm direct myself and the production manager are directly under the general manager. I kind of have a unique position that I'm the senior account manager, which I kind of hold all the relationships to all of our large HOA maintenance contracts. And then I have an account manager that's sort of just below me, if you will, who I'm training currently. Um, the company is split into two divisions. We have landscaping and maintenance, and I am considered the manager of the maintenance division as well as the senior account manager. So then I have an account manager under me, and underneath myself. So I'll just kind of break down our organizational structure on the maintenance side. Um, my cousin Brandon as my account manager under me, and then he has a production manager under him. The production manager handles all the management of, because myself and Brandon are constantly working with customers. We're mainly sales individuals, but I have always managed everything. So I kind of kick in when the production manager doesn't maybe know how to do something. But that's the basic structure. And then below the production manager, we have foremen or team. I could interchangeably say they're team leaders or a four person. who was then the boss of all the laborers of that individual crew.